Welcome, everybody, to episode 3 of Full Court Talk here on Diamond Talk. I'm Brendan DeVinny, joined alongside by Will Brianza as we have a jam-packed show for you today in the world of basketball, NBA, and we'll even touch a little college. Let's start off with news from San Antonio. Spurs, they're playing fine. Not a whole lot of controversy surrounding San Antonio as much as the Cavaliers. Spurs did just knock off LeBron James and the Cavs again this past week, well, for the first time this season. But something interesting that we have not seen in a long time, Greg Popovich benching Tony Parker in the starting lineup, replacing him with DeJounte Murray in the starting lineup. This is the first time that Parker is coming off the bench since 2010 in the playoffs. Will, right off the bat, is this the right decision by Greg Popovich, given how much experience and talent Parker has playing for the best coach in the league?
I think it's the right decision because Murray, an up-and-coming star, young talent, and you want to get him on the court. And this is kind of like what the Cavs did with Dwayne Wade. You want that 30-some-year-old with a lot of experience leading that second team, and really, when you're on the court, you have another starter out there because Tony Parker's experience. And, I mean, if you look at Murray's stats against the Cavs, you just mentioned they beat the Cavs. He had 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 steals. So this kid is obviously playing well, so you got to stick with what's working. And Parker, who has been struggling, maybe him leading that second unit will get him going again.
Parker, he's been around forever. He's been on most of the San Antonio's championship teams, dating all the way back to when they beat LeBron in the finals for the first time in 2007. He's played alongside Tim Duncan, now Marcus Aldridge, right? But he's 35 years old, and in basketball, age means a lot. And you can't be playing forever. I know Michael Jordan played into his 40s. But right now, his minutes are decreasing. His points are decreasing on average per night. Is this the end? Is this the beginning of the end for Tony Parker and his San Antonio days?
I don't think it's, I don't want to say it's the end, but it might be the end of his starting career. I think I could see him coming off the bench for probably 2 more years. Around the 37 age is when I see Tony Parker retiring.
Given that Parker now being benched and Kawhi Leonard hasn't been playing for the Spurs, prediction, do the Spurs make the Western Conference Finals, and do you see them potentially making the finals this year?
It's hard to tell because Kawhi's injury they're unsure about a timetable. But the way they're playing right now, with this lineup right now, they would not make it to the Western Conference Finals due to the talent in Houston and Golden State and Oklahoma City finally picking up their thunder.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you on that. San Antonio, they have great talent, they have great coaching, just not enough as we've seen to beat Golden State, and they hardly got past a really shaky Cavaliers team if it weren't for the hot shooting in that fourth quarter. That game really was it started to piss me off, the Cavaliers, in that San Antonio game this past week. So much, and we'll get to the Cavaliers here in a little bit, talk about them for most of the show, but that game, it looked like, I tweeted out, it looked like the 2012 Cavaliers.
It really
playing.
did.
It was just awful.
It looked like the Cavs when LeBron was in Miami for a 4-year stint. You're exactly right. I don't know what's going on, but this team, they're struggling bad, and they got to fix it soon.
Yeah, real soon, because in a couple months here, playoffs are upon us. But let's now stay in the Western Conference. 2 teams that have handled San Antonio and Cleveland, Golden State and Houston. This past Saturday, and what was the doubleheader that featured Cleveland and Oklahoma City, Golden State and Houston down in Texas. Houston knocking off the Warriors once again in what was dominating fashion They put up 40 points in the first quarter, I believe, the Rockets on the Warriors. And after the game, Clint Capella, one of the most underrated players for the Rockets, he said, "We're better than them," meaning the Warriors. I 100% agree. I honestly believe the Rockets can give the Warriors a run for their money if these two teams, and it looks like they're on a collision course to meet in the Western Conference Finals. I can totally see, for the first time in 3 years, a different Western Conference Finals team in the finals, and that is the Rockets. What do you think?
I agree with you 100%. I mean, they taken the first two. It will definitely go to 7. The competition between these two teams is ridiculous.
Sure, yep.
But if you just look at the stats in this last game, Golden State outshot Houston in field goal and 3 points, but it's just everything else. Rebounds, Houston won by 17. Steals, they won by 6. This team, they do the little things right, and that's what gets them the victories, and that's what I love. Chris Paul, his whole career, he's done the little things right, and I'm just hoping for him that the little things finally pay off, and maybe he'll get his first ring.
That's so true. You talk about the little things, and I think that's where the Cavaliers are going wrong. They can't do the little things. They can't rebound. They can't run an offense. And in the NBA, you got to be able to do both to win. The Rockets, that's what they're doing. Golden State, they rely on their three-point shooting from Thompson, Durant, Curry.
Even Green.
Even Green at times, yeah, he can shoot as well. But Houston, they're phenomenally coached. They have just great talent, balanced talent all around, whether you're talking about the starters or the bench. And this is a rising team, no pun intended, with the Rockets really giving every team they play a run for their money. However, the Warriors did say, and this is Kevin Durant after the game, he said the season starts over when you're in the playoffs anyway, so it doesn't matter. Should the Warriors be concerned?
Yeah, that sounds a little bitter to me. Sounds like a little sore loser right there, but yes, they should be worried. When James Harden and Chris Paul are both on the court together, this team is dangerous, and this team is finals contenders.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, Golden State, this is their second year with Kevin Durant, and it looks like, it's looking like for a while they've really been having great chemistry, but when you can't beat, your rival in the Western Conference, that really should be concerning. So, Golden State, Houston, that should really be a highly competitive Western Conference Finals matchup. We won't see them play each other again until May. So, let's just shift our focus now to the Eastern Conference. And when everyone's talking about the feud in Cleveland, Cavaliers, there's so many different topics going on. LeBron is worried more about his image rather than actually winning now. There were the rumors coming from Stephen A. Smith, even though we didn't even hear him say this, that Dan Gilbert, the owner, he wants to sell the team now. Let's shift. Let's pay attention now more to what the actual team is going through and the front office. Cavaliers targeting 3 guys: George Hill, DeAndre Jordan, and Lou Williams. Will, your thoughts on these 3 guys? Which one do you think would work the best for Cleveland?
Honestly, working the best would be DeAndre Jordan, because we have Thomas, LeBron, and Love, but we've never had that big man. Our center's always been that 6'10" guy and now it's Love, and Love likes to shoot threes. So we need someone who will be in the paint and will be able to rebound over people. You know what I mean? And DeAndre Jordan would fit perfectly. I think George Hill, he's getting up there in age, and with Isaiah Thomas, that would make sense to have George Hill. Lou Williams would be a good pickup just because of the struggles going on right now with J.R. Smith and the rest of the shooting guards. So Lou Williams would fit nice as well. But Jordan, I want someone who can rebound, and he's that guy.
No doubt about Lou Williams. He can shoot along with George Hill. I just don't think that you need another guard when you already have all the guys that you mentioned. Now, it really is going to depend on who we trade here at the trade deadline. Does Kobe Altman think that we need another guard, or do you stick with Thompson? And Thompson now, according to Tyronn Lue, going back into the lineup. Do you think that's the right decision? Do you think just putting Thompson back in the starting lineup is going to fix things? Because I don't think it's going to.
I don't think it's going to either. Not joking right now, but I think it's the Kardashian curse. I mean, if you look at the careers of past players who have dated a Kardashian, their careers get ruined, and so far it's not looking good for him. I think we need to get rid of him while he's still worth something, because he's not the Tristan Thompson we saw when we came back from the 3-1 lead. He's not the Thompson we saw last year who fought over the offensive rebounds and would get him. He can't get a rebound to save his life.
Yeah, he's a really good player. He has so much talent. He just, when it comes down to the big moments, he doesn't contribute at all. And
he crumbles like a paper man.
Really does. His glory days of 2015, 2016 really are over. So with that being said, with Tyronn Lue putting him back in the lineup, Tyronn Lue, he's on the hot seat, and there's been talks about replacing him, bringing in another guy like they did in 2016 with David Blatt. Should he be fired?
I never understood the Blatt fire. He was like 31-14, but Tyronn Lue's definitely struggling, and every time he is asked, what are you going to do to fix this team? We got the best player in the world. I mean, yes, you have the best player in the world. We all know that. We've known that for the past 3 years. But you can't just rely on LeBron to fix everything. It's a team effort, and he's not including the whole team. And honestly, the team keeps saying that they don't have chemistry problems, and it might, but just because Lue out here says LeBron's the best player in the world, they might think, well, what am I? You know what I mean? Tyronn Lue doesn't talk about me in interviews, so what am I for this team? And that could be a reason the chemistry's so bad. So if right now, if they keep going this way past the All-Star break, then yes, he's got to be out of there before the playoffs.
Taking a look at, I'm reading this article, and it says 4 trades that would work best for the Cavaliers, because it really does have to consider who you're going to trade.
Mm-hmm.
And one of these on here, and it's been talking about getting rid of these 2 guys, Channing Frye and Iman Shumpert, giving away the Cleveland's 2023 second-round pick to the Kings for George Hill. You don't like that?
I don't know. I don't think, like you said earlier, I don't think we need another guard. The only thing I would like George Hill is because of JR's struggles right now. But if JR comes around, he's a better guard than George Hill, in my opinion. And I don't really want to give up Frye. I don't think Frye's doing too bad. Shumpert, I could see Shumpert being traded.
Another trade that's really interesting, 2 guys that I love, Kevin Love and Cedi Osman, and a second-round pick to Detroit for 2 names really that have not been circulating, Tobias Harris and Avery Bradley. That's
a terrible trade.
It is.
Bradley's good at defense, but you're in a league now where you have to be good at offense as well. I mean, this is an offensive league.
Yeah, and Harris is another forward that doesn't really have a great
They're
winning
not worth
experience.
love and the potential of Osman. I love Cedi Osman. I don't know. I don't know if it's his name.
The first
his defensive effort is
the first
amazing.
Cedi.
I love him.
Other trades that on this article, J.R. Smith and Cleveland's 2018 first-round pick for DeMarre Carroll from Brooklyn, giving up Isaiah Thomas, Derrick Rose, and the Miami Heat's 2020 second-round pick to the Hawks for Dwayne Dedmon.
Those are all 4 terrible trades.
I don't know.
If we're gonna trade a lot, like
this is from the Washington Post, so
yeah, if we're gonna trade if we're gonna trade Thompson or one of these premier players like J.R. Smith, the guys that have proved themselves, I want a DeAndre Jordan or
right. You just got to get a
Lou
big
Williams
guy,
out of
an
them.
aggressive player that can really change the culture of this team, because the culture of the team right now, not where it should be at this point in the season. Let's just shift our focus now to some injuries that have really impacted a couple teams. Kawhi Leonard, mentioned him, has played just 9 games this year, and apparently the team and Leonard have been distant and disconnected on his return, when he's going to return. When do we expect Leonard to be back?
Well, just hearing that they're disconnected isn't a very good sign that he'll be back anytime soon. You'd like him to be back by the playoffs, especially with being the Spurs, and you're probably going to be a top 5 seed. So you're probably going to be competing, and you want your best player to be there. I mean, like you said, they moved Parker to the bench, so now it's just Murray is their leader, and you need Kawhi back.
And that surprises me with, Popovich being such a great coach that he is, not being on the same page as one of your star players. You want him back. You want him playing. I'd say you need to get him back soon just to get him into the rotation, get him acquainted with the offense and the rest of the players that have been making an impact, beating Cleveland. You need him for the playoffs. And I think Leonard is really the key to trying to get past Golden State or Houston.
I mean, Kawhi is the whole reason San Antonio beat LeBron in the Heat in the finals.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
This guy is the face of your franchise. And just like you said, it's astonishing that they don't know where he's at, like injury-wise.
And up in Milwaukee, Giannis Antetokounmpo sitting 2 games. And Antetokounmpo, he's a phenomenal player, the Greek freak. But with Giannis, is Milwaukee for real in the playoffs?
I think they are. And it's not just because of him. I mean, yes, he puts up double-doubles, sometimes triple-doubles on the regular. But I like Chris Middleton and Thon Maker. I mean, this team all around, they have some talent and room to grow. Delly off the bench. He was a great defender for Cleveland in the finals. So, yes, I think they can compete. I think they're a top 5 seed as well in the East. And I don't know about this year, but definitely in years to come. They have a lot of young talent, and they're an up-and-coming team for sure, like the Timberwolves.
Yeah, speaking of, the standings and where the playoffs would be right now, Milwaukee is at 8. Just 2.5 games in front of Detroit. They would be playing Boston. So, and when we've seen them, Boston and Milwaukee play, that's a pretty good matchup. They're not too far from each other, and that's depending on if Gordon Hayward's back for the playoffs.
Yeah, it's these teams. There's a bunch of teams right now that aren't where they'll be at the end of the season. I don't think the Cavs. I think the Cavs hopefully, but I think they will start picking it up and they'll get back in the top 3. I think the Bucks could be top 6, top 5 by the end of the year. I think the Pistons might even make the playoffs, honestly.
Yeah, that would be really interesting. Cleveland would be playing Washington right now. Cavaliers at number 3.
Both teams that are struggling, so.
Yeah, so long way to go till April. Every game counts. LeBron doesn't seem to think so, but really every game counts. So, but let's turn our attention to some off-the-court topics. And big story coming from last night. This is being taped on Friday the 26th, but Thursday night. So the first time forever, new thing for the All-Star game in the NBA, a draft with LeBron James as captain of the first team and Steph Curry, the captain of the other team, drafting the starters and reserves that were named by coaches on Tuesday. They were announced. Players were announced on Tuesday, but the official teams were announced last night. And the teams look like this. For LeBron James, he drafted starters in DeMarcus Cousins from New Orleans, Anthony Davis, Cousins' teammate for the Pelicans, Kevin Durant, his rival from Golden State, former teammate Kyrie Irving from Boston, and obviously James will be the 5th starter. And his reserves look like this: LaMarcus Aldridge from San Antonio, Bradley Beal from Washington, picks his teammate and Kevin Love from Cleveland, Victor Oladipo of the Pacers, Kristaps Porzingis of the Knicks, John Wall of the Wizards, and Russell Westbrook of the Thunder. For Steph Curry's team, his starters look like this: Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Bucks, DeMar DeRozan of the Raptors, Joel Embiid of the 76ers, and rival from Houston, James Harden. Obviously, Curry will be the fifth starter. And the reserves for Minnesota, Jimmy Butler, teammate Draymond Green of the Warriors, Al Horford from Boston, Damian Lillard from Portland, Kyle Lowry from Toronto, Klay Thompson of the Warriors, and Karl Anthony Towns of the Timberwolves. I think this is awesome, Will. You got, usually, you'll never see Kevin Durant and LeBron James on the same team. Kyrie Irving back playing with Kevin Love and James, the big three reunited from Cleveland. Curry and Harden are on the same team. Kyle Lowry playing alongside Curry. Thoughts on this? This is just awesome, I think.
I think the reason they did it is because of domination in the West. I mean, if you look at the West, LeBron has Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and then both of his big men are from the West, and that's the reason why they had to do this. The West was just overpowering year in and year out. And now, looking at these rosters, LeBron's team is pretty stacked. I don't know how he managed to get those four guys in the starting rotation, but wow. I mean, he pulled some straight. And then Russell coming off the bench, MVP last year.
Folks, for one night only, you'll see Westbrook, Durant, Irving, James, Davis all play on the same team for one night only. That is, the NFL, they need a whole lot to advertise for the Pro Bowl. The NBA, this is it to advertise for the All-Star game. This is just amazing. And for the West, they're still stacked. DeRozan, Curry, Harden, and Curry on the same team. Really, that'll be unreal to see. I think the East might be better than the West.
For sure. LeBron.
It's not the East and the West anymore, but James better than the Curry.
Yeah. You don't have to say the West teams for the advertisement. You're saying to advertise this. I mean, if you say LeBron's team, I'm in. I'm coming. I mean,
no doubt.
The team is ridiculous, and it's going to be fun to watch all those guys play together. And
there was a lot of controversy and discussion of whether or not James would pick Irving or would he bring his teammate along with him and Kevin Love. Does both. I think that's a classy move by LeBron James. Feelings aren't hurt anymore for Kyrie Irving leaving, at least when you look at this. So I think that's a classy move by LeBron.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised he picked not only Irving but Durant as well. I mean, Durant was his first pick. He got first pick, and he picked Durant.
I would pick Durant, too, in a heartbeat.
Those two together, that's just... You could literally have those two starting at small forward and power forward and me at center, point guard, and shooting guard. We're winning the finals.
Thoughts on only one Thunder being drafted, and it's Russell Westbrook. Neither Paul George or Carmelo Anthony on either All-Star team.
I think Paul George was snubbed. Anthony not having the...
Yeah, let's talk about any snubs from the All-Star.
I'll do a top
game.
three. Top three snubs for me. Paul George, as I just said. Andre Drummond, playing out of his mind and finally decently shooting free throws. And Chris Paul. Those are my three snubs.
Only one Rocket.
Yeah. I think it's partway because of the time off the court he's had. But when he's on that court, I mean, he's one of the best point guards in the NBA.
Do the Cavaliers deserve any more? Do they...
No.
No.
They're awful. I'm surprised Love's on the team the way people have been talking about him. I mean, Love, I think, has been playing all around good this season as of late. Maybe not, but I was surprised he made the team. But it's nice to see two Cavs representing on the same team as well and have Kyrie back. Yeah,
I think Ben Simmons, he's a great player, but this was his first year.
Yeah.
So I guess I would have picked him. He's not on the team. Paul George, really think he should have been the second OKC Thunder, and Chris Paul. I get it that you want to spread it out, get as many teams represented as possible, but if you're talking about picking the best players, you go back and you talk about the college football playoff, picking the best teams. I think the coaches, I guess, pick the players to represent in the All-Star game. I believe they got it right, but still would have liked to see at least another Thunder on the team or another Rocket.
There's so much talent now in the NBA. There's always going to be a snub, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't, with 24 roster spaces, there's always going to be 2 to 6 guys left out. There's the top 30 in this NBA is definitely very, very talented.
Don't talk about high school or college a lot here on Full Court Talk, but the one superstar phenom saying that he's the next Kevin Durant, next LeBron James, Zion Williamson from Spartanburg, South Carolina, plays for his AAU team, the SC Supreme, and in his high school team, Spartanburg Spartans, because that's not creative at all. Has committed to Duke. He's going to play for head coach Mike Krzyzewski and the Blue Devils up in North Carolina. Thoughts on this, Will? Best high school player in the country going to arguably the best college program in the country.
All I can say is I'm not surprised. I mean, you look at the top 10 guys, it's usually Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky, Kansas sometimes. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not surprised at all.
You want to see his offers? Obviously from Duke, offered from Arizona, Connecticut, Florida, Georgetown, Kansas, and Kentucky, North Carolina as well, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and UCLA. Got offered a lot from a lot of other teams, but mostly they're known for their football schools. Baylor, Clemson,
a lot of those schools,
Georgia.
A lot of those schools as well are past basketball. Like UCLA back when they had Bill Walton, that's when they were good. But I don't know how would you advertise? Come to us. We have a lot of national championships. Yeah, from what, the 1970s?
Exactly.
So
yep.
That might be a thing too.
Plus, UCLA is now associated with the Ball family, so
yeah, it's true.
Not
anymore, actually.
Not anymore.
Lithuania is.
But I mean, there's more than 20 schools that offered Zion Williamson.
Jeez.
College basketball, from what we've seen this year, it's anyone's game, and
it really is.
Zion Williamson definitely headed towards the NBA, and hopefully, I'm not a Duke fan, but when they make it to the Final Four, I'm rooting for the Blue Devils. Hopefully, a national champion here in the next 4 years. So, Zion Williamson, he beat LaMelo Ball, so he outplayed him when he. If there's video, you have to go on YouTube. There's video of Williamson playing against LeVar Ball's team, and it's hilarious because Williamson just balled out on LaMelo. So
we all know he's going to be a one and done, and that's the thing I feel bad about.
You think he stays 1 year at Duke?
Yeah, that's the thing I feel bad about for these teams. Though you get these guys year in and year out in your national championships. But that's the one thing I like about being a Notre Dame fan. You get to watch these players for all 4 years, and you get to root them on. You get to know the guys, how they play. But if you're a Kentucky fan, you can barely, or a Duke fan, or a Kentucky fan, or North Carolina, you can barely pick a favorite player without them being gone the next year. And that's what I feel bad about. And I mean, it makes sense though. You don't want to be 23 going into a league where 30 is the average age you're done.
Isn't it Duke? 4 of their 5 starters are freshmen.
Yeah, every year.
That's unreal.
Every year.
And I think Kentucky's the second youngest school.
There was 1 year where Kentucky had like three or four first-round picks, all freshmen.
That's crazy.
That's how good they are.
And that's where you go and talk about, the age that you can enter the draft. And I get that LeBron James didn't even go to college.
Do you know who else did on the Cavs? You'll never guess it.
SETI? I don't know.
J.R. Smith.
That's right.
Yeah, he was right out of high school too. That kind of surprised me.
That's right. Kobe Bryant didn't go to high school either, and
Nope.
Look where he's at.
A lot of people didn't go to high school that
Derek Jeter.
Yep. Well, baseball, it's different. Baseball, there's a lot of guys that come right out of
Yeah.
high school. But, yeah. I mean, Johnny Manziel, you look at him. He was one of the first ones to enter right after his sophomore year, and I think he should have stayed. I think he would have been better prepared for the NFL if he would have played one or two more years.
So true.
And that's why he's playing in the CFL. I mean, it's true.
I'm glad we're not the football show because I would totally be talking about the XFL right now. But that's a different story. Final story of the day here on Full Court Talk. The 2008 Celtics team this upcoming summer is planning a championship reunion vacation. Rajon Rondo is planning it. And back in March of 2017, he announced that Ray Allen would not be invited. Just this week, on Monday, he announced that Allen will be invited. Now, this goes back to Ray Allen, I wouldn't say betraying the team or, putting the Celtics down, but he left for Miami and would later win a championship with LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. Thoughts on this? Is this the right move by Rondo, or what's going on here?
It's definitely the right move. He was an integral part in winning that championship. Ray Allen's clutch threes.
But was Rondo right for leaving him off in the first place?
No, not at all. That's just being petty. And he was a starter on that championship team. You can't blame a guy that's getting up there in age, wanting to get one more ring, but he's on a team of 30-sums, going to a team of 20-sums, all in their prime, including the best player in the world right now. You can't blame a guy.
I mean, to hold a grudge this long, it's 10 years.
Yeah.
That's bad, Rondo. What are you doing?
But I'm glad he changed his mind because he definitely deserves it. I mean, without Allen, how many points go down the chute in that finals? I mean, who's your shooting guard? He was part of that big four in Garnett, Pierce, Rondo, and Allen. So
I think it's cool that they're holding the reunion. I just think it's not a classy move by Rondo. You gotta give credit where credit is due.
Yeah, you do.
And Allen, one of the best players I've ever seen. That clutch shot, the save LeBron James' butt.
Yep.
In the finals, unreal.
That will never be forgotten. That was such a great shot.
Heat don't win it if that shot doesn't go in.
No, they don't. Ray Allen won that finals too.
I know that was, that was to force another game, but, whew. Come on, Rondo.
Gotta love clutch shots when they count. Oh, I love basketball. I love the finals in basketball, and then March Madness. Just all the buzzer beaters
around the corner.
Such a fun game to watch when it's important. Like when they count, when they really count. The regular season, we're upset with the Cavs now, but we'll all forget about this little cool streak when JR hits that clutch three to give us a 3-point lead in Game 4 of the conference finals, or LeBron blocks Andre Iguodala in the finals. So you forget about that.
Buzzer beater against the Bulls.
Exactly. You forget about all that. And it's just fun.
Hopefully, we'll see Zero Dark 23 this year.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, Alabama won, so I'm still hopeful. Still hoping that's a thing.
There you go. Well, that will wrap things up here on Full Court Talk. A little longer show today, but that's all right because basketball is basketball, and when it's in the heart of the season, a lot to talk about. And I guess that's a good thing that we won't be here for the summer because
there's nothing to talk about.
Exactly.
Until like late July when free agency starts.
Yeah, we could talk about that in September. But
a lot to talk about in September.
A lot to talk. Well, that will wrap things up. And what big games are this weekend?
That's a good question.
I don't think there's any big games this weekend.
I don't think there's any like Houston, Golden State, or Cleveland. Obviously, Cleveland, Golden State. Their series is done. We got
every game for Cleveland is
Indiana,
now.
Cleveland. I mean, Indiana's right behind us because of how poorly we're playing. Chicago, LA, two young teams.
There you go. Yeah,
so it's kind of the future of the NBA right there. If you want to watch that one, and then Houston and New Orleans tonight. Over on Saturday, we have nothing really intriguing. Oh, Boston, Golden State, I guess. Saturday at 8:30.
Wow.
That's
a
probably the
huge
game of the
one.
weekend.
There it is.
And Sunday, you got struggling Clippers taking on the Pelicans. Detroit fighting for that playoff spot in Cleveland.
If we can't beat Detroit, I'm giving up on this team.
That's about it as well. So
if we
Golden
can't,
State, Boston, Saturday night, 8:30, that's the game you want to watch.
These two back-to-back games, Pacers and Pistons, divisional rivals, if we can't beat either of those teams, I'm giving up on the Cavs.
I'm going to
no matter who we get at the trade deadline.
I'm going to tell you now, if the Cavs lose, if the Cavs keep playing like this, that Saturday night game between Boston and Golden State could very well be a finals preview.
It could be.
So tune in, 8:30 ABC. You got the Celtics and Golden State Warriors going at it. Kyrie versus Steph Curry once again, but in green.
Until then, follow us at Diamond Talk at Diamond Talk 20. And check out our YouTube page, all the other great shows featuring Colin Scott and Jeep the Sissio, the baseball guys. They do a great job as well. So until next week, from Will Brianza, I'm Brendan DeVinny. Have a good weekend, everybody.